Hello, this is Maestro X, and I'm going to go over the Level 1 Academic Word of the Day, Contrast, for Week 4, Quarter 4. Let's take a look at your flashcard. Contrast has two pronunciations, depending whether you are using it as a noun or as a verb. When you use it as a noun, the emphasis or stress is on the first syllable, con. So then we say contrast, contrast. If you use it as a verb, then the emphasis or stress is on the second syllable, trast. Contrast, contrast. Let's take a look at the noun definitions. We have two of them. The first one, as you can read along with me, a difference between two or more people or things that you can see clearly when they are compared or put close together. The fact of comparing two or more things in order to show the differences between them. So in this definition, you have to have two or more people or things that you are comparing. And when you are comparing them, you can see the difference. And when you do this, this is called the contrast. Let's take a look at your sentence example. Jorge used a Venn diagram to show the contrast between Othello and Iago from Shakespeare's play Othello. Iago was a contrast to Othello. Okay, so here in this first sentence, you can see that student Jorge used one of our popular reading strategies, compare and contrast, to show the contrast. So he looked at Othello and Iago closely together and tried to list their similarities, which we put in the center circle here. On the outside circles, outside the main part, is where we show the differences. And in that way, you show the contrast. Back to the definition. The second definition is a person or thing that is clearly different from somebody or something else. So we can talk about the difference being the contrast, okay, the difference between the two things. But you can also say if one thing is different from the other, then it is a contrast. And so in this second sentence here, Iago was a contrast to Othello. That is an example of this second definition, because you're saying that Iago is very different from Othello. He is like the opposite or very different. Okay? So again, the first definition, Jorge used a Venn diagram to show the contrast, to show the differences. And in the second definition, in this example, Iago was something different from Othello. Back to our definitions. Oops, where are we? In the verb form, contrast, that's the action of contrasting. That means you are doing this comparison. And in our example here, with the Jorge and showing how Othello and Iago is different, he is contrasting. So you can also say, you can use a Venn diagram to contrast characters in literature. Your teacher might ask you to do this. Please compare and contrast characters in literature. And in this way, it's being used as a verb. Here it's being used to mean show the difference. Show the difference. So that's the familiar word as it's used as a noun. We do have the participle form, the adjective form, contrasted. And then we have several synonyms. Comparison, differentiation, and variation. We also have two antonyms, similarity and agreement. Okay? If you got this one wrong on your reassessment, please write an original sentence using contrast as a noun on a separate card and include an illustration. Happy studying!